I'm Jordan, a 29-year-old from Austin, Texas. I had been dating Melissa for nearly 2 years. We weren't living together, but she stayed at my place most nights. She had a roommate she complained about constantly, so I gave her a key, said she could use my apartment whenever she needed space. At first, it felt sweet, cozy even. I worked long shifts in IT support, and I liked the idea that she was comfortable in my space. But over time, something felt off. I'd come home to sheets that smelled like cologne I didn't wear. Wine glasses in the sink when I hadn't had a drink in days. A random men's hoodie once, which she claimed was her cousin's. One night, I got home early and found Melissa in my living room with a man I didn't know, shirtless, panicked, mid-exit. She burst into tears and claimed it was a mistake, moment of weakness, that it only happened twice. Twice. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just told her to get out. She begged me not to tell anyone, especially not her job, where image mattered. That gave me an idea. Melissa worked as an assistant to a well-known realtor in Austin. Her boss was someone I'd met once, charming guy, always professional. I listed my apartment for short-term rental on a high-end business housing platform. Guess who booked it for his in-town stays? Her boss. For 2 weeks straight, he used my space as his personal crash pad during open houses and events. I made sure to leave a little note in the welcome folder. If you ever need a new assistant, one who doesn't use her boyfriend's apartment for dates, I know someone. He didn't respond. But she was let go a month later, due to internal policy violations. I never saw her again. But I got my space, and my self-respect, back. When I first met Melissa, it was at the White Horse, a popular honky-tonk bar in Austin's East Side. She was celebrating her friend's birthday, laughing with this infectious energy that drew me in immediately. Her auburn hair caught the light just right, and when she smiled at me, I felt like I'd hit the jackpot. 2 drinks and 1 shared plate of barbecue nachos later, we were exchanging numbers. She texted me the next morning, something casual about having a good time. I waited exactly 47 minutes before responding. Not that I was counting. Our first date was coffee at Houndstooth, which turned into lunch at Suerte, which somehow became an entire day of exploring Austin. By evening, we were sitting at Barton Springs, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and purple. I don't usually connect with someone this quickly, she said, her fingers intertwined with mine. Me neither, I admitted. By month 3, we had inside jokes, favorite restaurants, and a rhythm. She'd stay over 2 or 3 nights a week. By month 6, it was almost every weekend. The key thing happened around our 1-year mark. Melissa's roommate, Tanya, was apparently a nightmare, always having friends over late, never cleaning, eating Melissa's food. At least, that's what Melissa told me. She brought her new boyfriend over again last night, Melissa complained one Sunday morning as we had breakfast at Counter Cafe. They were so loud, Jordan. I couldn't sleep. I nodded sympathetically, refilling her coffee mug. I wish I could just not go back there sometimes, she continued, stirring cream into her coffee. Just have somewhere quiet to go. The words came out of my mouth without much thought. I mean, you could always stay at my place, even when I'm working late. Her eyes lit up. Really? You wouldn't mind? Of course not. I'll make you a key. The look on her face, this mixture of surprise and gratitude, made me feel like a hero. Like I was solving a real problem for someone I cared about. That night, I made a copy of my apartment key. I even tied a little red ribbon around it before putting it in her palm. She closed her fingers around it like it was something precious. Thank you, she whispered, kissing me. This means so much. For a while, it was perfect. I'd come home from my IT job at Dell, and sometimes Melissa would be there, curled up on my couch with a book or her laptop. She'd look up with this smile that made me feel like the luckiest guy in Austin. Sometimes she'd leave little notes for me, "Miss you already," or "Left you some pasta in the fridge," signed with hearts or lipstick marks. It was around month 16 when things started to change. Little things at first. I'd notice items in my apartment slightly out of place. The throw pillows arranged differently. A wine bottle in the recycling that I didn't remember finishing. Once, I found a man's watch on my bathroom counter, a chunky silver thing with a blue face. "Oh, that's my brother's," Melissa explained when I mentioned it. "He stopped by yesterday to borrow some tools. Must have taken it off to wash his hands." I nodded, but something about her explanation felt rehearsed. Still, I pushed the thought away. Melissa's brother lived in Houston, a good 3-hour drive away. Why would he come all this way to borrow tools? He was in town for business, she added, as if reading my mind. She kissed my cheek and changed the subject. A week later, I found a crumpled receipt from La Condesa, an upscale Mexican restaurant downtown. The date showed a Tuesday night when I had been working until 10 p.m. The receipt was for 2 margaritas, guacamole, and 2 entrees. "Did you have dinner with someone at La Condesa last Tuesday?" I asked, trying to keep my voice casual. Melissa barely looked up from her phone. "Oh, yeah. Jenny and I grabbed dinner after work. She'd been dying to try their new chef." Jenny was her colleague at the real estate office. It seemed plausible enough. But when I ran into Jenny at H-E-B grocery store the following weekend, she mentioned she'd been in Dallas the previous week for a conference. Melissa was holding down the fort alone, Jenny said innocently, examining an avocado. "She's been Eric's right-hand woman lately." Eric. Melissa's boss. The charismatic realtor whose face was plastered on bus benches and billboards across Austin. I said nothing to Melissa about the conversation. Instead, I started paying more attention. More cologne scents on the sheets. More wine glasses with lipstick marks different from Melissa's signature red. Sometimes I'd find long blonde hairs in my shower drain. Melissa's hair was auburn. Once, I came home to find the living room smelling strongly of cleaning products, as if someone had hastily wiped everything down. The trash had been taken out, though it had been barely half full that morning. "Just doing some spring cleaning," Melissa said with a bright smile when I commented on it. It was November. The final straw came on a Thursday night. I'd been scheduled to work until midnight, system updates at Dell that Melissa knew about, but the job finished early. By 9:30 p.m., I was heading home, looking forward to surprising Melissa with takeout from Ramen Tatsuya. I opened my apartment door quietly, hearing low music playing, a slow R&B song I didn't recognize. I assumed Melissa was taking a bath or watching something on her laptop. Then I heard the laugh, deep, masculine. I froze in the entryway, the takeout bag suddenly heavy in my hand. There was a wine bottle on my kitchen counter, an expensive Cabernet I'd been saving for our anniversary. 2 glasses beside it, both half full. I moved towards the living room, each step feeling like I was walking underwater. And there they were, Melissa on my couch, her legs draped over a man's lap. A shirtless man. He was tall, tanned, with the kind of professionally whitened teeth you see in real estate ads. Eric. Melissa saw me first. Her eyes widened in horror, her smile evaporating. Eric turned, confusion turning to panic as he scrambled to grab his shirt from the floor. "Jordan. You're home early," Melissa stuttered, adjusting her blouse, which had several buttons undone. Eric was already standing, pulling his shirt over his head. "I should go," he muttered, not making eye contact. "Wait, Eric, don't," Melissa started, but he was already moving past me toward the door, grabbing his jacket from the back of my dining chair. The door closed behind him with a definitive click. Melissa burst into tears. "Jordan, it's not what it looks like." I set the takeout bag on the coffee table with deliberate calm. "Then what is it, exactly?" It's just." She faltered, mascara running down her cheeks. "It was a mistake. A moment of weakness. It only happened twice, I swear. Twice. The word echoed in my head like a gong. Get out, I said quietly. Jordan, please. We can work through this. I love you. Get out. My voice remained level, which seemed to unnerve her more than if I'd shouted. She gathered her purse with shaking hands. Please don't tell anyone about this. Especially not at work. Eric is married, and I could lose my job. Image matters so much in real estate. That's when it hit me, she wasn't worried about losing me. She was worried about her reputation. Her job. I said nothing as she left, mascara-stained tears still streaming down her face. I locked the door behind her, changed the sheets, and opened all the windows despite the November chill. I needed every trace of her, of them, gone from my space. That night, as I lay awake staring at my ceiling, Melissa's words kept repeating in my head, image matters so much in real estate. By morning, an idea had formed. A perfect, elegant solution. I spent the next day researching high-end short-term rental platforms, the kind used by business travelers and professionals. I took new photos of my apartment, highlighting its downtown location, the view of Lady Bird Lake from my balcony, the sleek kitchen I rarely used. I listed my apartment at a premium price point, emphasizing its proximity to the downtown real estate district. Then I waited. 3 days later, I got a booking request for a 2-week stay. The name on the reservation, Eric Daniels, Pinnacle Real Estate Group. I accepted immediately. The plan was simple. I would stay with my buddy Mike during those 2 weeks. I'd leave my apartment immaculate, stocked with coffee, premium toiletries, even a bottle of the same Cabernet they'd opened that night. I'd be the perfect host. With one exception. The day before Eric's arrival, I prepared a welcome folder, the kind you see in hotel rooms with local recommendations and house rules. Inside, I included menus from nearby restaurants, instructions for the TV and thermostat, and a Wi-Fi password card. On the inside cover, I paperclipped a handwritten note. If you ever need a new assistant, one who doesn't use her boyfriend's apartment for dates, I know someone. P.S. I hope the Cabernet is to your liking. It seems you and Melissa already developed a taste for it. I left a spare key in the lockbox and headed to Mike's place, my revenge set in motion. For 2 weeks, I tracked Eric's coming and going through the building's security app. He used my apartment as his crash pad between showings and open houses. Each night, I imagined him sitting on my couch, that note burning a hole in his conscience. He never contacted me directly. The only sign that he'd seen my note was that he checked out a day early, leaving the apartment in pristine condition. The welcome folder was nowhere to be found. I didn't hear anything for weeks. I changed my locks, deep-cleaned the apartment, and tried to move on. Melissa called and texted relentlessly at first, then gradually tapered off when I didn't respond. A month later, I ran into Jenny at Royal Blue Grocery. "Did you hear about Melissa?" she asked, a hint of gossip in her voice. I shook my head, pretending indifference. "She was let go last week. Something about internal policy violations. Eric was super cryptic about it, but there are rumors she was using company resources for personal matters." I nodded sympathetically. "That's unfortunate. The weird thing is," Jenny continued, lowering her voice, "Eric's wife has suddenly started showing up at the office a lot. Bringing him lunch, checking in. Never did that before." I paid for my coffee, hiding my smile. 6 weeks after Eric stayed at my apartment, I received a package at my door. No return address. Inside was my welcome folder and a brief note on expensive stationery. Message received. Professional boundaries restored. No hard feelings. It was unsigned, but I recognized the decisive handwriting from the rental agreement Eric had signed. I never saw Melissa again. I heard through mutual friends that she moved to Houston, ironically, where her brother actually lived. I deleted her number, blocked her on social media, and gradually, the sharp edges of betrayal began to dull. My apartment became mine again, just mine. I replaced the couch they'd sat on, rearranged the furniture, and painted the walls a different color. With each change, I reclaimed a piece of my space and my self-respect. Sometimes, when I drive past a Pinnacle real estate sign, I notice Eric's professional smile seems a little more strained these days. His wife's name has been added to the fine print, Eric and Diana Daniels, your Austin real estate team. I could have exposed them both publicly. Could have sent screenshots of Melissa's desperate texts to Eric's wife. Could have made a scene that would have damaged both their careers beyond repair. But this way was better. Quieter. More elegant. Sometimes the most effective revenge isn't about destruction. It's about sending a message. And mine had been received, loud and clear. I'm dating again now, a physical therapist named Amber who has her own apartment that she loves. We spend equal time at both our places. And when she asked if she could leave a toothbrush at my apartment, I said yes without hesitation. Trust, once broken, is hard to rebuild. But my space, my sanctuary, is mine again. And that's victory enough.